Alright guys, today we have a 2018 Jaguar F-PACE, which is actually one of their, I think it is the best selling model currently of Jaguar, and it's definitely the kind of SUV you want to get if you want something that's just a little bit different, that stands out. It's not your typical, family SUV that you see on the road. They're a bit more rare, and it's actually been quite an impressive car. I've been having it last day and a bit or so, and thought I'd just give you guys a bit of a tour and review on this thing. Now, the first thing I want to say about this car is that the size is actually really good. It's not massive in the sense that it's not too overwhelming to drive, particularly if you're a bit of a nervous driver, but it's incredibly spacious. And a lot of compact SUVs that you see these days, they look bigger, but they're actually not that big in the inside. And to give it a really good test today, I do have an installed car seat. Seeing as we do have a kit on the way, we're now a bit more curious to know about space in the cabin for things like car seats and all of that. And so you can see here we've got our standard ISOFIX mounts here, and we've got our rear facing honestly, I'm still getting used to all these names of these different baby things and bits and bobs. Rear facing car seat. And you can see there's a bit of clearance there, and I've got the seat in a fairly close-ish position, but it's pretty good, honestly. I can still move it back quite a bit, and of course if it's front facing you do get a bit more room in the front seats, but it's a lot more spacious than I thought it would be with the baby seat in here as well. And obviously being a bit higher off the ground, it's easy to install this without having to lean forward and hurt your back. Very straightforward process, of course, with the ISOFIX mounting points at the bottom there as well. And we do have a powered tailgate, which is really nice. And you'll see that it's actually also a fairly large boot as well. Look at that. It's actually fairly big. It's quite deep. You can see we've got our pram in here, and this is quite a large pram, I must say. Does take a bit of space, but in this thing it fits very well. You can see you've got space here for also any other shopping and bits and pieces that you may have. And down in here we do also have it's hard to show you a bit now, but there is actually a full-size wheel down here as well, which is great. Just that extra bit of peace of mind if you have to pull over and change a tyre. Now this tailgate being powered, it actually also, you can manually set the height. So if you're a shorter person, you can manually set this to a lower position if you like. So that's nice to know. And if I come around this side here, you'll see what the space is like in the back seats. And I must say the materials and the contrast stitching, lots of contrast stitching in this car, looks very nice, very comfortable. And you do have this suede-like material. I'm not sure if this is actually Alcantara or not, but it certainly does feel very premium. And what's really cool, I'll quickly show you as well, is that you can, and I love when cars do this, I really do, you can close the trunk, or the tailgate I should say, remotely from in the front and from your key fob. How good. Sometimes people will take things in and out and they forget to close it, but from the driver's seat you can close it yourself. So yeah, quite nice in the back here. This one, I don't know if this does come with optional heated rear seats, but at least you do have rear air vents down here, which is nice. And you do have your power outlet and 2 USB-A charging ports as well. And heaps of headroom. Heaps of headroom. And of course, a ton of legroom and footroom here as well. Look at that, huge amount of space. So actually, again, quite a practical car in terms of space in the back seats. You do also have in the back here fold down armrest with some cup holders as well, which is nice. And if you do want to lower the back seats, you can do so up here. Unfortunately, there is no controls in the boot. You have to do it from here, and it's quite heavy, I must say. It's quite a heavy 60/40 split seat, but either way, it does the job and does free up more space. And this design here is quite nice as well. You can see the seat belt here. Even when I lower it, it stays there and it doesn't get blocked. Many other cars, I do know that this ends up getting caught behind the seat, and you have to, unstow the seat, pull it out, and restow it. So that's quite smart. One thing, and I could be wrong here, but from what I've figured, I cannot see these ISOFIX covers pop off, and you have to put them back again. I know in my other car, they just they lower, or they stay on there, but they just move out to the side. Whereas in these actually fully come off, so it's quite possible that you might lose these if you're not careful. So there you go. And you have these nice big, huge wheels on here. These are of course 20-inch wheels. Now the brakes on these, they look big-ish, but they feel really, really good. They're nice and grabby, not too overly sensitive. But I'm surprised they don't have the nicer sort of caliper covers that you get on many other performance cars. So yeah. Now this one is the 3-litre supercharged V6, which is pretty cool. So this thing will get you to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.5 seconds. So performance in this thing is of course absolutely not an issue at all. All doors also have keyless entry, which is really nice, of course. And here we enter the driver's seat. Very nice sitting position as well. I do love again this part leather or part faux leather, and actually I'm not sure if it is real leather, it could be real leather, but anyway, part leather and part suede seat. This is the best combination in my opinion. Why? Because the main part, your back and your butt, on a hot day when it gets hot and sticky and sweaty, will not stick to this the same way it would do if it was fully leather. But you do have the nice accents of the leather on the sides as well. So it's a very practical option. And of course, you've got your seat adjustment here as well. You've got, you can raise and lower it. You've got your tilt for the front and the back. And this thing tilts up actually quite a lot. I was very surprised. One of the highest tilting front parts of the seat that I've ever had in a car. And I really love that feeling of it really tucking up on a nice angle there as well. So yeah, all right. And these running boards again, really nice. It just does make getting in and out just a little bit easier. All right, here we are inside the 2018 F-PACE. And my first impressions of the interior, number one again is that just really nice use of leather and contrast stitching here. Yep, there's a bit of gloss black plastic, and we know that does scratch up pretty easily and all of that. But on the whole, the materials, the fabrics, everything in here is really nice. And I'm glad, of course, even though there is a big touch screen, there are still physical buttons here for your climate control, which in this day and age I do really appreciate. You got your cup holders here. Now, cup holder placement design, the ergonomics of it all, interesting. So for a driver, it's not so bad. You still have an armrest over here, which is great. But the front passenger, of course, doesn't really have much of an armrest. And even if they did, well, your cup holders are then no longer very usable. So yeah, that's that. And of course, underneath here, you do have USB ports and another power outlet as well. So to turn the engine on, you just do the good old foot on the foot on the brake and the start-stop button over here, and of course you do see the drive selector rising. This comes with a 10.2 inch touchscreen. It's fairly responsive, I must say. No major complaints with that. It's a funny design. It is a funny design. We'll get to that very shortly. So hold your horses for that. We'll quickly look over here at the digital driver's display. It's fully digital, which is really nice, and it's probably a good example of a car that... Sorry, yep. Japanese models have their ETC toll system and all that, so it will tell you that. This being obviously a Japanese import model, so this is going to have the Japanese spec in this car. As I was saying, so digital driver's displays, to me, they're only worth it if you can configure them quite a lot, and thankfully you can in this. And it's quite a funny setup, I must say. If you look here at the controls, you think to yourself, okay, so you've got a D-pad. Okay, that's good. So I can control the menu with the D-pad. You got your cruise control. Okay, cool. But then where's your track and volume and all that? Well, this D-pad doubles up as your music and a D-pad. So when you're looking at the normal driver's display like this is volume up and down, this is track forward and backwards. However, when you press the middle button, the menu button, it then brings up your menu. And here, now this acts as a D-pad. So in terms of design, it's not the worst. Again, I would say, like, I'm not a huge fan of the current, well, not the current, but the previous Mercedes generation of steering wheel controls, because there is no forward and back button for music. At least here there is. At least when you're cruising along, you can just go next track, previous track. But over here you've got your cruise control, which in many cars is a stalk, which frees up more space on this side. So this does limit some of the controllability of the digital driver's display. In my opinion, I actually do think that Lexus and Toyota, they have a very simple but very usable design. They have both. They have the D-pad working. They have the volume and audio and all those controls here as well, and the cruise control, and they managed to fit it all into the steering wheel. So I do believe theirs is designed very well. But anyway, let's look back here at the options again. So you press the menu button, and now I can scroll through the options here. One thing I wanted to just point out here is if I go to display, the great thing is that you can, again, customize this quite a bit. So first of all, display layout. So you can go here, you've got your traditional 2-dial setup. You can go to a 1-dial setup, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I like this. This is very sporty, you know, and you have a nice big map on the side. That's brilliant. I love it. If you want to go full map mode, you've got that as well. So you got full map, and then you got your basic driving information on the side of the screen. Media, again, is going to prioritize showing you media information. There's not really much happening right now. Just got the radio on, so there's not much to show you there. And then you got your driver assistance screens. So this will focus, you know, your radar, cruise control, and all those bits and pieces. So yeah, really cool. I do like that. So let's go back to 2-dial. Now you can of course change what's in the middle. So I can go to info panel over here, which is the info panel in this case on this layout is the middle section here, and I can view trip summary, I can view the map, I can view media. I'll just go to media, and yeah, so now you've got that in the middle of your screen. But one of the funny things is driver assistance. So this particular model is not equipped, and I was quite disappointed actually. This is not equipped with the radar cruise control package. You only get conventional cruise control in this particular model. And the problem with that is that when you have your driver assistance screen, it does nothing. Like, it doesn't show you really much at all. So it's kind of a pointless screen to have if you do not have the radar cruise control package. So there you go. But anyway, for the most part though, the fact that you can customize this quite a bit is a big plus in my books. I just think it just gives you much more flexibility and configurability with how you use this digital cluster over here. Right, so that's all that stuff there. And let's go to this infotainment and control situation here. Right, okay, so some funny things. Heated seats. This car does have heated seats, but if I tap on this here, then I can turn on the heated seats for either side. So it is a infotainment screen setting. You know, you can't enable it and disable it just purely by physical buttons. It's not the end of the world. Again, the main important thing is that the temperature and the fan speed is physical. That's far more important in my opinion. But yeah, you do have your climate control, your heated seats options on here. You can get this car with cooled seats as well. This particular model does not have that. So you've got that there. Now you have your main screen here, but on the left hand side you can kind of swipe between your other options as well, navigation, your music, and your phone, so you can do that too. We have navigation, of course, which is here, all your contacts and, you know, phone calling and all of that, your media, and then, yeah, as I mentioned, the climate information there too. So yeah, now if you want to change the air distribution, there's a button over here, you press that. Now here's another funny thing. Let's say I've got Apple CarPlay going on, right? I'm using Apple CarPlay for my maps. Great. But then when I want to change the air distribution, I've got to click on this and then click on, you know, head or feet or both or whatever. And if I leave it there, it's going to stay here. So to go back to my maps, I've got to press maps again. So it's a little bit annoying, not the end of the world, but just a funny design, I must say. The only other complaint that I really have is the fact that there is no skip track button at all down here. The only skip track button you really have is up here in the infotainment system or on the steering wheel. So if you're a passenger, you're sitting back in your seat, you're leaning back, yeah, no no-y-do-y. Have to ask the driver-y. The other problem I have as well is that it's not a major problem, but it's just something that I do like in other cars, is that there is no other physical controls to control the infotainment system. So everything's on the touchscreen. Again, you know, it's a decent system. It works fairly well. So, you know, it's not a major issue, but I do like it sometimes when I have the option of controlling it via the touchscreen, but also with some sort of controller knob or dial down here as well where your arm is resting. Otherwise, infotainment wise is great. Again, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay works really well, so that's really nice. Unfortunately, it's only wired, not wireless, but at least you do have it in this car. What else do we have? So, oh yeah, these vents, quite nice. They've got the little Jaguar you can see there, just on the vent there, which is nice. And you can get this car also with a head-up display as well. This one does not have it, but yeah, if you do want to get it, you can get it. But again, I just want to repeat again just how nice this contrast stitching is in this area here. This looks very Aston Martin-y. It kind of gives me those vibes with all of that. Now this here again is your gear selector, so you got reverse, of course, and this car does come with a 360-degree camera. If you tap on that, you can see your top-down view, which is nice. All your other cameras as well. So, yeah, pretty cool. Now I can go to drive. Puts me into drive. And to put into sport, you have to push down and rotate to the right. And then you go into sport mode. So that's how you do that. You also have these other driving modes down here as well. So you've got dynamic, which is that one there, and you can go to eco, and you can go to your rain, ice, snow, and you can see over here it confirms it down there as well. So now this design here, it's okay. I say that because when you're driving, you actually have to you can't easily look down. Again, I would say Lexus has the most intuitive drive mode selectors down here. They have a rotary dial, and you can change it without even having to look. Whereas in this car, you like many other cars, you have to actually look down here and press to change between the driving modes. So yeah, sweet. Right, you do also have some off-road modes as well here. You do have this your limited speed crawl mode as well, if you want to use that, We're not going off-road today, so unfortunately I won't demo that to you. But if you want to go off-roading, this of course is an all-wheel drive car. It is rear-wheel drive biased, but you can can do a fair bit of off-roading with this car if you need to. Now, in terms of sound systems, this does have the Meridian sound system. What do I say? It's a tricky one, I must say. I'm not a huge fan. It's the problem I have with it is that the mid lows in this are not the greatest. It's not very sharp and punchy. You've got a massive subwoofer in the back, and it gets very low, and that's cool and all. But to me, it sounds kind of muddy, and you don't get a crispy kind of mid-low section. You don't get a real punchy sound out of it. What I do like is that you can go in here and you can go to audio settings, and you can actually change the bass and the subwoofer, and I love that. I love that it's separate. Sometimes the subwoofer is too loud and you want more bass, or vice versa, so that's cool. But yeah, the mid-lows just aren't quite there. Treble is fine, that's okay. It sounds fairly crisp. It's a fairly good sound stage, but the problem I have again is that a lot of songs I ended up turning the bass down quite a bit because it wasn't quite sounding right, so I had to lower it, and then it doesn't sound very bassy, and then you crank up the subwoofer, and then it's too boomy, but again not very precise with the lower frequencies. So I'm a little bit disappointed, I must say, in the sound system. It's not the worst, it's okay, but I would have thought for a premium option it would sound better. Another weird thing with Jaguars, particularly with the F-PACE here, is that you have your window switches up here. It's not a bad thing, it's just different. But here are your window switches and your mirror control switches over here. And then down here are your memory seat options. Normally memory seat options are, somewhere in this vicinity. And then, these controls are down there. It's okay. It's not really the end of the world. It works well. It's just a bit different, that's all. And I do like how when you do put the car into reverse, the side view mirrors tilt down. It's one of the most simplest features in the world, but man, is it useful. Really, really useful. And up here as well on the roof, you do have this very, very nice, suede headliner. Really, really soft and nice. Love it in this car. You've got a sunglass holder as well. This does feel a little bit cheap and flimsy, I must say. Just feels really light. There's a little bit of rubber padding in there, which is good, but other than that, it's all right. All right, and here we are driving the 2018 Jaguar F-PACE, and this, of course, is also the S model, so it's the more sportier version, and this one does also come equipped with the lovely 3 litre supercharged V6. And you notice straight away getting in this car, it just feels a bit higher than a lot of other compact and mid-sized SUVs, which is nice. It's a nice driving position, nice and high. Even the side view mirrors, I had to angle them down quite a bit, otherwise you wouldn't see lower cars in your side view mirror. But it's a nice position, and again, when you look out the front, you see this lovely hood and this big bulge in it that just reminds you that you've got something with a decent amount of power under the hood. And this thing does, I actually did misquote earlier, I said it did 0 to 100 in 5.5 seconds. It actually does it in 5.1 seconds, so essentially 5 seconds, which is pretty impressive for a car of this size and weight. So you're going to have no issues overtaking in this thing at all. Inside the vehicle, the engine's not too loud. It's great for your daily driving and all of that, but it does have a very, very nice exhaust. driving on the motorway, I was a little bit sad again to be reminded that this does not come standard with radar cruise control standard. I mean, so many other manufacturers now are really offering that as standard kit. I mean, the 2018 Toyota Corolla and the RAV4, and I think even the Yaris as well, they all come standard with radar cruise control, but not in this thing. You have to pay extra for the radar cruise. So when you're on the motorway, it's just a bit of extra work because you got to keep an eye on the speed limit. This thing just wants to go, and you have to work twice as hard to try not to speed. You do actually have, Jaguar does give you a speed limiting function as well, which is nice. I know Mercedes has that, a few other manufacturers have that as well. So if you want to set that on, you can turn that on. And it's not a bad idea because, as I mentioned earlier, this car just wants to go. Even cruising around slower in the city, I just find this thing just wants to pounce. Maybe it's the way the gearing's set up, but it just feels always like I'm restricting this Jaguar from pouncing like it wants to. Some cars you have to push it. Some cars need a bit of extra encouragement, and you have to kind of do that. But in this car, it's the opposite. This thing just wants you to push it, and you have to try and be very disciplined by not pushing it, so you don't get a speeding ticket all the time. Being a larger vehicle, you actually also get really good visibility. Like I've noticed, changing lanes and all of that, maneuvering the vehicle is a lot easier than it may look from the size of the vehicle. Looking out the back, the window, the rear windows are decent size. Even your rear three-quarter view as well is pretty good. You can clearly see through the sides and all of that. You've got big mirrors which will help with your blind spots as well. And as I mentioned that, I am changing lanes. But it's nice and quiet inside here. Again, when you're cruising along, there's minimal tyre noise, minimal wind noise. It does a great job of keeping things nice and quiet inside the cabin. And of course, when you do want to put your foot down, you do hear it, which is nice. In fact, being in a tunnel now, I hate being that guy, honestly, but we have to test out the sound. Already going 88 kilometers an hour, so I can't really go much faster in this tunnel. I'm already nearly going the limit, but let's see if we can there's a little taste for you there. Not a lot, unfortunately, but what I can do at this time in the tunnel. Now, the drivetrain in this car is all very, very smooth. The shifts are nice and smooth. The engine is very, very smooth. It's never been jerky or uncomfortable. It always feels like it's capable of being pushed, and just general driving again is just nice and smooth in this car. Now, fuel economy wise, I've been getting between about 8 to about 10 kilometers per litre, and that's a bit of highway and a bit of city driving. Now, if you were going full road trip, you definitely would get more than 10 kilometers per litre. So yeah, the numbers aren't particularly amazing, but for a 3 litre supercharged V6, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's certainly not anything like a hybrid or something like that. If you were more concerned about fuel economy, the diesel option is the one to go for, because yeah, they just are much more efficient than petrol engines, especially 3 litre V6 supercharged engines. So there you have the 2018 Jaguar F-PACE, and in my opinion, this car is for somebody, again, that does want practicality. You do get quite a bit of storage in this SUV. It is not a crossover or a compact SUV. You do get a decent amount of space in this thing, and you want something that's a little bit different just to your typical RAV4 or CX5 or even, you know, Q5s and Q3s everywhere nowadays. So this is just something a little bit different that's still got the refinement of a luxury brand, but also has that real fun factor, and is something a little bit different. I just love how comfortable this car is. You'd think being a more sportier car that you would compromise a bit on the ride and all of that, but it's incredibly soft, nice driving position, nice and high, and on bumpy roads this thing absorbs the bumps pretty well. So again, a massive thank you to the team at GVI in Auckland for allowing me to have this car for a wee while and review it, and get in touch if you're interested in buying this particular car. It is for sale, you can buy it, and they've had actually quite a few F-PACEs in stock recently, so if this one's sold by the time you watch it, and these guys, they turn their cars around pretty quickly, so I wouldn't be surprised if this car was sold already, but I'm sure they'll have another one arriving in the dealership soon if this one has sold. Otherwise, they have a massive stock of vehicles, both here in Auckland and in Tauranga, so please do get in touch with them if you are keen to buy something. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Cheers.